Hello everyone. In this video, we will see how to manage state in a React application. So let's get started. So over here, I have some diagram to show like what is state in an application and how it affects your whole application. So for example, I have put a count variable over here, which has an initial value of 0. And then over here, I have a button. And this button, when a user clicks, it changes the value of count from 0 to 1. Pretty basic counter example. But the important thing we need to understand here is how React manages state and how does it affects your application. When React mounts the application, the value of count is 0. When a user clicks on this button, which we call an event listener, the whole application gets re-rendered. So this is the important thing to understand here. So when a user clicks, the whole application gets re-rendered and the new value becomes 1. So we go back to here. And then if a user again click on the button, the value becomes 2. So this whole circle repeats, and in this circle, the app mounts and re-renders many times. So this is probably the most important thing you need to understand about any React application is how it renders, how it re-renders. And we will be seeing how we can use useEffect to do the same thing. But in this video, we will see what is useState hook. So let's get to our VS Code. Okay, let me bring up the VS Code here. So what we need to do is I can just close these files and I can create maybe a new component, or maybe I don't need to create a component. I can just create a file counter.jsx. So now we have this. Let's make it a function. And let's import that function in our app.js file. So we can import it here. I forgot to export it. So let's export it as well. Export default counter. Save this file, and now I need to import it from here. Counter. So now we have our counter here. All right, so let's close this. And in order to use the useState hook, we first need to import it. So let's import useState from React. So we're importing our useState from React. Now we need to do, we now to declare a few variables. So let's say the first variable is counter. Let me make it count. First variable is count and the second is set count. So, and we need to give the initial value to our useState hook. So let's say the initial value is 0 and save it. So what I'm doing here, so we have a count variable which is getting a initial value 0. So whenever you see a useState hook, the easiest way to use the useState hook is to keep in mind that we will have a variable and a setter function. So this is a function which will affect count. So we call it setter function. So the set count will affect count. And this is usually the normal way of writing the useState hook. So you can also use something like const. Maybe you have something called age, and then you can call set age, and then you can give it use state and give it a value of whatever, like maybe 23 is the real age. So this is just for example. We're doing the same thing. We're declaring a variable age, and we're declaring a set function set age, and the initial value of age is 23. Similarly, in our case, the count value is 0, and set count will make changes to the count variable. So that's the easiest explanation of useState hook. So let's delete that. And what we need to do is we need to let's just first of all show it on the screen. So we just put inside the curly brackets, and if we save it, it gives error because I need to, it's not counter, it's count. If I save it, we see it's 0. So we can say value of count is, and save it, and it's 0 right now. So far so good. Now how can we change this value with each increment? So in order to put an increment, we need to put a button. So let's create a button here, and let's add a change count. So we have a button, and let's give it a break statement. So now we have a count and we have a button, but this button does nothing. So what can we do? So let me inspect that as well so that we can see the changed value over here. Maybe I should put it down there. Yeah. So as I told you in the previous video, I think in the video where I was explaining JSX, we can add our event listener here. So let's add an event listener on click and make it a function called change count. So we save it, and it will throw error because we didn't define this method. So let me come here and then create this function change count, which can take in some parameters, and for now just we're just console logging whenever a user clicks on the button. So maybe like clicked. So we saved it, and if I click it, we see that console log message. If I click 2-3 times, it will show that we are clicking that button. So now we have a way to make some changes so that we can update the count variable. Now we need to link this count variable to our setter function some way, right? Because setter function, the set count, is the only way we can change this. There is no other way we can change that. Okay, I'm taking that statement back. There are ways we can change the count variable without using the set count, but that will not abide the rules of useState hook. So never change the variable without the setter function. Always use the setter function to change your variable whenever you're using useState hook. So what should we do? We can delete this, and we can just call our function set count, and we can increase the value of count by 1. We save it and see just over here what will happen. As I click it, get 1 value. Click it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what's happening here? So if we come here, well, you can see the value was 0. As user click, the whole app gets re-rendered, and we get a value count equals to 1. Just put to demonstrate that it re-renders. Let's just put a console here. Re-render. If we save it and come to here and just everything, so when we click it, see, we are seeing our re-render. As we click it, the whole application gets re-rendered. So whenever a state changes, React will re-render the application. That's the whole meaning of state. And we have seen in the previous video what props are. So props are data which we transfer from one component to other component, and state is the state of the application. And if that state changes, it tells React, okay, you need to re-render this application so that we can show the updated state. So hope this is clear. Hope this give you some idea what props and states are in React. This is probably the easiest example I can demonstrate. We can do a lot of different things with the useState hook. which we'll be doing in the next video. So thanks a lot for watching this video. I don't want to make this tutorial too big, so that's why I'll just give you one example, and then maybe we will do some small project so that I can demonstrate you how we can pass props and how can we manage state. Uh, One thing I need to tell you that these states are local state. I mean, this is not a global state. The count, because we are declaring inside this counter function, so this is not a global state. But we can create global objects, and then whenever that object changes, it should re-render some part of the application. So we will do a lot of cool things as well. But that's it for this video. Thanks a lot for watching.